Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, famously known for the phrase discipline equals freedom. In this video, I'm going to break down the 7 greatest tips from the book so that you can start applying them to your life and start having more discipline and more freedom. So let's get into it. Number 1. Well, the pretext for this. The whole book in total is about Jocko Willink. Is a Navy SEAL. It's very military based. There's a lot of military examples. So if you're into that, I kind of lost me a little bit with the relatability to it. Like, you can totally relate to it, but it just kind of rambled on a bit too much about military stuff. So it's not specifically a personal development book. It's like, I think he kind of wrote it with the intention of the sergeants in the military and the Navy and all this sort of thing to read it. So just bear that in mind if you are going to get this book. Apart from that, I'm about to tell you the 7 best tips that you can take from the book. So number 1, take responsibility for yourself and others. So Jocko talks more about taking responsibility for your team, for your own actions, right? So he talks about an example in the book, a story about there's 5 team members on this expedition, on this little hunt or mission, this little mini mission they went on, and something went wrong. And then they got back, and then the sergeant came up and he said, okay, what went wrong? And then one guy steps forward, hey, it was my fault, I did this. And then the next guy steps forward, no, it was me. And then the next person, no, it was me. And then finally the team leader goes, no, you guys, it was me. Okay, so that's what Jocko says. It's like the whatever that expression is, the weight of the buck falls on the leader. So the leader, no matter what happens, takes the full grunt of what's happened. So there's a bit of a double standard, because it's like when the leader, I feel, does a great job, the leader praises usually the team, and the leader, if the leader does well, then the team gets all the credit. But if the team does bad, then the leader gets the blame. Now, this is the double standard that falls upon the leader. The leader, I feel, if you've listened to my video, my podcast, take no credit, take no blame, ego is the enemy. That's kind of explaining it. It's like, hey, don't take credit for the team doing well. Don't take blame necessarily, I think, but go in and say, hey guys, I could have done this better. Okay. I feel like you did this well, you could have done that. And then also giving feedback. So not just saying like, oh, hey guys, it was all my fault, none of you could have done anything to improve, but saying, hey, I fucked this up, but I also did this well. So having a balance. Okay, Greg, you over there, I think what you could have done better was X, and then what you did well was reload the bullets, right? So it's not just, I feel they lose that point in the book. It's like, no. A leader does something went wrong, and the leader takes, well, it's my fault. End of story. It's like, no, you debrief the team and you say, yes, it's my responsibility because I'm in charge of the team. I should have had a better plan and communicated it better with every individual inside the group. So, yeah, I go a step further than just taking responsibility for yourself and your team. I love the quote from Dostoevsky, which I'm going to read to you, about responsibility. There is only one way to salvation, and that is to make yourself responsible for all men's sins. As soon as you make yourself responsible in all sincerity for everything and for everyone, you will see at once that this is really so, and that you are in fact to blame for everyone and all things. So I also said this in another book, in the Tao Te Ching, and Aristotle also says this, that the mind, no, it was in the Kabbalion, the law of correspondence, when world, the universe, as far as we know it, exists in our mind. Okay, we all see the world completely differently. And the world that we perceive and we experience is individualized to who and is filtered through our past perceptions and our highest values. So what Dostoevsky is saying with this quote, it's like, hey, fucking be aware that everything you see in the world is made up in your fucking head. Okay, so if you think there's war going on, you're creating that perception in your mind. Okay, and if you start to, and everything is connected. When an electron vibrates, the whole universe shakes. A great quantum physicist said that, because if you look into quantum physics, every single cell and atom and molecule and bit of matter in the universe is all connected. Okay, it's all fucking connected. All right, so I don't know if you believe in that kind of shit, but if we're all connected and something happens across the other side of the world, am I to blame for it? Yes. But on the other end of the spectrum, you are to have credit for it as well. So all the good things that happen, it's your fault. All the bad things that happen, it's also your fault. So you're getting credit and blame, and they cancel each other out. So if you're aware that you create everything in your mind and you create everything in the world, because the world is created in our mind, then we are responsible for the good things and also the bad things, and they balance each other out. And we know that we can't have anything but good and bad. Love is the synchronicity of all opposites. So love is the balance between credit and blame, good and bad, war and peace, happiness and sadness, challenge and support, everything. So that's the first one, is like, take responsibility. It's like, you're creating this. Don't blame someone else. Don't blame yourself. Don't give credit to someone else. Don't give credit to yourself, because then you'll get cocky and self-righteous. If you give credit to other people, you'll humble yourself too much to a degree that you're not confident in yourself. So it's the equal and exact opposite. And that's a theme that Jocko is aware of inside the book, which I love. He's aware of the law of balance. Number 2, mission comes first. Being a leader is being able to communicate the vision of your mission in terms of your team members' values. Same thing in a business, same thing in a family. Your ability to communicate the crystal clear vision that you have in your mind is going to determine the success of the team or the group or whatever it is. So it's focusing on the mission. It's not focusing on, okay, guys, we're going to take this route through the desert, around the left side of this hill, and then we're going to come up from the east on the building. And then you get there, and then there's a big windstorm, and you can't go left. That doesn't mean, oh, well, the mission's over. No. The mission comes first. What's the objective of the mission? The objective is to scout and get intel on this building area. Okay, let's go through. Let's hike through the mountains. Let's leave a day early. Let's hike through the mountains. Let's fucking get our Belgian Malinois and get our sniper rifles up in the hill. And then now we'll come in from the west. Okay, so mission comes first. So don't get stuck in the plan necessarily. Get stuck in focusing on what's the most effective and efficient way for me to achieve the objective, which is for the mission. So you're breaking your mission down into little baby objectives, and then you're focusing on achieving each objective. So don't let your team get all like confused and unfocused. It's like, hey guys, the mission comes first. That's what one of my first mentors, Pete Tansley, has said when he's asked him about like, what about girls and all this sort of thing. And he said, mission comes first. Don't put the pussy on a pedestal. Your mission comes first. It's, the habits, and which is, we're leading into number 3, which is what you tolerate creates your standards. So your standards are also created not only from the things that you do well, but also the things that you do bad. So if you're tolerating staying up late, swiping on Tinder to try and get a fuck, then you're tolerating that. That becomes your standard, is standing up late. You're putting the pussy on a pedestal. You're not focusing on your mission. Mission comes first. Mission is more powerful than the pussy. I'm saying it here first. You can quote me on that. So what you tolerate creates your standards. That's number 3. Number 4, be humble. Always be learning. You are not perfect. Check the ego. Jocko does an incredible job of this. He is acutely aware of his intelligence, yet he is so determined to learn as much as he can, and he sees every opportunity to learn. He sits back in a conversation, he listens, he takes in everything. He knows that the power of value is in scarcity. He says less, he has heard more. He listens exactly. What are the values? What are the things they're talking about? What are the problems? What goals do they have? What's the most succinct thing that I can say that's going to communicate directly to them and give and be the most effective and efficient words that I can use? Number 5, prioritize. In the Navy, they have a saying: relax, look around, and make a decision. Don't get bogged down in all the tiny little fucking bullshit. Again, what's the mission? What's the objective? Prioritize the highest priority action. What's the most effective and efficient thing that I can do in order to move me one step closer towards that mission? So I get bogged down in this sometimes, all the tiny little details. And it's like, do I go food shopping today, or do I vacuum today, or do I take the dogs for just a walk, or do I just train them? Do I take both dogs? Do I read one book? Do I read 2 books? Do I read one book for longer? Do I wake up early tomorrow? I feel a bit sick. Do I get ice cream tonight? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's the fucking objective? The objective is to do 1,000 book reviews. The objective is to travel around Australia. The objective is to have an awesome experience and love and gratitude with Prince. The objective is to be fit, flexible, and energetic and have a focused and sharp mind. Okay, am I doing those things? Okay, what's the greatest thing to prioritize? No, I actually am kind of a bit overstimulated at the moment, and my body needs a bit more of a rest. Okay, prioritize rest and relaxation. That's the most important thing for you to do right now. Okay, cool. It might be the opposite for you. You feel like you've been sleeping too much. You feel like you've been slacking off too much and watching too much Netflix. Okay, you're prioritizing more challenging work now. Okay, awesome. Just relax, look around. If your mind is clogged up with all this bullshit, you're not going to be able to make a clear decision. Decide comes from the word homicide, patricide, matricide, genocide. All these killing off, right? It means to kill. When you make a decision, you're killing off all the other bullshit. You've made the decision on the priority. The priority means the highest, the one thing. Number 6, discipline equals freedom. Like I said, okay, this is where I disagree with Jocko, because he says that when the amount of discipline and freedom that you have is determined by the amount of time that it takes for your alarm to go off and you to get up. If you're getting up when the alarm goes up, get the fuck up and just go. Okay, this is like the David Goggins fucking warrior type shit, where people get burnout and they suppress all their emotions and they end up doing things they hate, and they end up with a life that isn't actually theirs. They're trying to be someone that they're not. So I do agree you need a balance of pushing yourself and challenging yourself when you do not want to. But if you're constantly getting up to an alarm and you fucking hate getting up to the alarm and you're not inspired, then what's the point? One of my other mentors, he said that if you wake up, you don't want to get out of bed, stay the fuck in bed, because if you're not inspired, you're going to fuck everyone up in the business. You might as well just stay in bed. There's no point. Just fucking, just be inspired. So it's a balance between, half the time, a bit more than half the time, where it's kind of figuring out, okay, how inspired am I each morning at the moment? 5 out of 7 mornings. Okay, let me get that to 6. Let me get that to 7. Let me get that to every day in the month. Let me get that, and you kind of work. But if someone's fucking chronically depressed and they wake up every morning, they don't want to get out of bed. Okay, well, it's unrealistic to think that they're going to go from super depressed to fucking super inspired in one day. So it's like, okay, what level of inspired are you at in the morning? And then like just build from that. So it's a mix of both pushing yourself when you don't want to and pushing yourself out of that comfort zone into the area of growth, because we only grow outside of our comfort zone. But then it's also making sure you are doing your own mental work and spiritual work and focusing on even your health work as well, and focusing on goals that are inspiring you. Because if you're not waking up and just like feeling inspired, then you're fucking focusing on the wrong on things that aren't as productive and meaningful as they could be. Number 7, the last one, stay with me. This is one of my favorites because he's basically talking about Aristotle and the golden mean. This is the awareness of the dichotomy of leadership. So in order to be a leader, you must not have amount of, so okay, first of all, the level of leadership that you will be able to have is determined by the amount of support and challenge, criticism and praise that you can handle. You will not be able to get to a level of praise where everyone's praising you if you cannot handle the equal and exact opposite amount of criticism. You cannot be praised unless you're being criticized by someone else or yourself. It is a universal law. It is impossible to break. Donald Trump is a very bright example. People fucking love him. People fucking hate him. All the presidents, or you think of, you know, Nelson Mandela or fucking Mother Teresa. They're people that, like, you know, the sex, well, Mother Teresa's coming out now. She's part of the sex trafficking in the Catholicism. She knew what was going in the church. Nelson Mandela was known to be cheating on his wife with 14-year-old girls. So anyway, these people are two-sided, right? Just like everything in the world. And even people, like, think of the fucking people that were being molested as a result of Nelson Mandela and fucking Mother Teresa. They were criticizing them, whereas everyone's praising them. I'm sure people that were scamming and cutting off limbs and the terrorists and fucking the gangs, they were annoyed at Gandhi when Gandhi was fucking getting all of them onto his role. Okay, these are a bit extreme examples, but think about so at the moment I'm doing more like crazy sort of things where I'm, you know, have an Afghan hound and I'm training them and I'm training him a lot. Whereas I have people that look at me and go, wow, you've gone up the levels so quickly, but then I have other people going, no, you're going too quick. You need to slow down. You need to make it fun. That's not healthy. I'm going to travel around Australia in a Land Cruiser, and some people go, oh my God, you can't do that. You can't quit your job. What are you going to do for money? What are you going to do? Then other people are praising me. So if you can't handle a level of criticism, you're unconsciously wired to stall and stagnate your growth. So that's the first thing. So the leader will take on the role, the greatest role of dichotomies, and will have to navigate through the support and challenge, the criticism and praise. So once they have been sort of blessed with this ability to handle large amounts of praise and criticism, they also have to handle all of the other different vices and virtues within themselves. So the golden mean basically says that confidence is a virtue and cockiness is a vice. The golden mean is directly in between confidence and cocky, which is certainty. Okay, so if you are certain when you're with your team, you will be able to lead them. If you're confident or arrogant or narcissistic or proud or elated or excited, people are going to be like, whoa, people are going to do the opposite in order to balance you out. You ever walk in a room and you go, I'm the best, I'm amazing. And people instantly go, what a fucking wanker, right? That's the law of balance. You ever see a super hot girl, super hot guy walking down the street, in your head, you go, I bet they're a fucking idiot, right? That's the law of balance. We're intrinsically wired to follow the natural path of these universal laws, the universal law of polarity. Okay, other things that Jocko says in the book: be courageous but not foolhardy, be competitive but a gracious loser, be attentive to details but not too obsessed with them, be strong but have endurance, be a leader and a follower, be humble but not passive, be aggressive but not overbearing, be quiet but not silent, be calm but not robotic, be close with the troops but not too close. Oh my God, there's so many different laws of balance to handle. It's almost like the ability for me to be a leader and inspire others with a cause and lead them on a vision and a mission is determined by my ability to handle the universal laws. Because when I can connect and get into the rhythm with the universe, I'm more grateful for the beauty that surrounds me. When I'm more grateful, I'm get more things to be grateful for, and I get to share my mission with the world. Oh my God, this is crazy. That was extreme ownership by Jocko Willink. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Subscribe.